Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this is the third installment in what has been a three-part tutorial on the Kinemaster editing app. Now in part one, it was all about learning those basics. In part two, we walked through how to add video layers to any project. And today we're going to talk about audio, doing all those tips and tricks to really enhance the sound of any project. Now, as I mentioned before, my channel is primarily dedicated to fashion and beauty, but I film exclusively on my iPhone, which means I want to be able to edit everything on my iPhone. But in any event, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial.
Okay guys, so I'm going to start this one off by showing you one of the most powerful aspects to Kinemaster when it comes to editing, and also one of my favorites. So let's talk about extracting audio. Tap that clip with your finger to highlight it in yellow, and that's going to bring up your editing tools. Now you're just going to want to scroll through that menu down with your finger to access where the audio choices are. Now before we get into extraction, just to show you, like, they have a couple interesting little options that honestly I think might be interesting for animation, but if you want to use them for your regular videos, that's okay too. If you tap on that EQ icon, that brings up obviously some changes you can make to the EQ. And then from there, same thing with the reverb if you just want to add a little bit of fun to your footage. And then you can also change your voice. You can even make yourself sound like a chipmunk or a robot. But getting right to the good stuff, that bottom row, far right corner, you see the extract audio icon. That's what you're going to want to tap, and it automatically extracts the audio from your video clip. This is so useful when you want to add B-roll to your footage, but you want to maintain the audio from the original video clip. Let me walk you through how you do that. So obviously the first thing we want to do is tap on the video clip to highlight it in yellow, and then we're going to hit that scissor icon on the top row left-hand side. There you'll see third option down says split at playhead. Tap that to make your first cut. Hit the check mark in the upper right-hand corner, then find the position on the video clip where you'd like to make your second cut, and tap that video clip again to highlight it in yellow. And once more, we're going to choose the scissor icon. We're going to choose that third option, which is split at playhead, to make the second cut. And then you're going to want to hit the check mark in the upper right-hand corner to close out the menu. Once you do that, tap on that section where we just made the cuts with your finger to highlight it in yellow, because we're going to want to delete that from the timeline, because that's where we're going to want to insert our B-roll so that it is playing over the audio that we just extracted from the main video clip. So to do that is really simple. All you're going to want to do is go to the left-hand side. You see that little trash can icon. Obviously, tap that and it'll delete it from the timeline. So as you can see, it has deleted that clip from the timeline, and where that plus sign is, that's where we want to insert our B-roll. So again, on the left-hand side, tap that icon right at the bottom to bring up the menu. We're going to want to move the playhead to the previous point, and that'll position the playhead exactly where we want to insert our B-roll. So to do that, again, go to your main editing wheel on the right-hand side and tap that media option right at the top of the wheel. That's going to access your video and photo library, and this time we're going to want to tap the photo icon so it's highlighted in red, which will give us access to all the photos stored on our camera roll. And once you find the photo you'd like to use as B-roll, just tap on it and it'll automatically drop into your timeline. Okay, so now let's talk about adding music to your project. This is such a fun element to add, just really to bring your project to life. And in this example, I'm going to show you how to add an end card with a little bit of text and some audio layered underneath. So obviously, the first thing you're going to want to do is position your playhead at the end of your project. From there, tap the media folder in your main editing wheel to bring up your video and photo library, and you'll see it gives you the option of adding a background. That's what we're going to tap with our finger. And once you do that, it opens up an entire array of different backgrounds that you can add. I typically like to go with just a plain white because that'll act as a nice end card. Click on that check mark to close out the menu, and then what you're going to want to do is tap the layer icon on your editing wheel, and that's going to bring up the option to add a layer of text onto our end card. So obviously for this, I'm just going to type in my name. I'm going to reposition it where I want it to place, and then hit the font icon in the editing menu. Again, we talked about this in part 1, but I love to default to the handwriting font Shadows into Light Regular. Tap that check mark in the upper right hand corner to close out the menu, and now we're ready to really add some finesse to this end card by adding some music underneath it. So we're just going to want to tap the audio icon in our editing wheel, and that brings up our entire audio suite. You can see they have a number of different musical tracks you can choose from. All of them, when you tap on them, will start to play a preview. And if you like what you hear, just tap that plus sign and it'll automatically drop the audio file into your timeline. Kinemaster gives you the opportunity to really play around with your audio. So to do that, tap the file with your finger, that's going to highlight it in yellow, and then we're going to choose the volume envelope icon from that top row far right hand corner. Once you're in there, you'll be able to set various points on your audio track to control the fade. So the first thing we're going to want to do is position the playhead where we would like to add our first point. And to do that, just tap that top icon, the little O with the plus sign to it, and you'll see it automatically adds an audio point onto your audio file. So let's say in this instance, our goal is to add a second point because we want to fade that audio out. So again, just position your playhead where you'd like to add the second point, tap on that plus icon, the little O with the plus on it, and that's going to add the second point to our audio file. And to fade that second point out, all you're going to want to do is pull that main volume setting down from 100 to 0. And you can toggle back and forth between your audio points simply by hitting the left arrow icon or the right arrow icon. So from here, if I want to get back to that first audio point, I'm going to click that left arrow and it'll move the playhead directly onto the first audio point. You can also loop your audio file, which is really helpful because in the music store, some of those music tracks, they might not be as long as you need them to be for your video. So what you can do is just tap the audio file with your finger to highlight it in yellow, scroll down to the bottom of that editing menu and just choose the loop icon. So now let's say, for example, you've added a couple photos to your video timeline and your intention is to add a music track underneath just to bring those photos to life, but you also would like to record a voiceover. Let's add some music first. All we're going to want to do is position the playhead at the point in the video where we would like our music track to begin playing. Hit the audio icon in your editing wheel that's going to bring up the music store. Once you find a track that you like, hit that plus sign to add it to your timeline. And from there, we're going to click on the mixer icon on the top row. First thing we're going to want to do is adjust the overall volume down, 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 because think about it. You don't want your music to be blaring at a level that makes your voiceover completely impossible to hear. And I also like to engage the auto volume just to ensure that the levels are optimal. And because we would like to add a dramatic flourish to this music track, we are going to fade it out by hitting the audio icon in our editing wheel. And from there, we're going to choose that volume envelope icon once again. And then we'll just determine where we would like to place our volume points. That way we can determine where in the video we would like to have the audio start to fade out. So now we're ready to add a voiceover, which is super easy. First thing is to position the playhead in the timeline where you would like your voiceover to start. From there, tap that record icon in the editing wheel, and Kinemaster makes it super simple. Just press the start button to begin recording, and once you're done recording, just hit stop. You have the option of reviewing or re-recording, but regardless, when you're happy with your choice, just click that check mark in the upper right-hand corner, and you'll see that your voiceover file has dropped into the timeline right underneath your music file. I'll leave you with just a couple extras with regard to audio. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, again, you'll see that wheel. It has kind of like spikies going around it. Tap on that and it'll bring up a couple different project settings that you can use to really finesse your audio. Like for example, you can fade your audio in at the start of your project and fade it out at the end of your project. And keep in mind, you can trim any audio file just as you would a video file by tapping it with your finger to highlight it in yellow. And then of course, we're going to go to the trim split scissor icon and then just make whatever edit you'd like to make. And you can also split your audio, which is nice if you want to cut out like a section that you just don't want. And to do that, again, click on the file to highlight it in yellow, then tap the scissor icon, and this time you're going to want to split at the playhead. That'll make your first cut, and then you're just going to want to reposition the playhead and go through those same motions again. So you have a section of audio that you want to extract, and to extract it, just tap on it to highlight it in yellow, and then tap the trash can icon on the left-hand side of the screen. That removes that section of the audio from your timeline, and from there you can just reposition the remaining clips of audio so that it plays as you want it to play.
Okay guys, so that concludes our 3-part tutorial on the Kinemaster editing app. And by all means, leave me questions down below in the comments. I'd be happy to answer those for you. And I hope that you'll refer back to part 1, part 2, and even this part 3 to just really fine tune your understanding of this editing app, because I'm telling you, it is such a powerful tool to literally like have at your fingertips. But in any event, thank you guys so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you're having a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!